well, it went into neutral, and then the linkage just came undone. I could just feel it. It's really hard to get 37-inch tires and new wheels and everything and actually stay within that range. So what we're gonna do, let's go one turn. 430 gear on the rear, 430 gear on the front. We're all good. I've stripped, so that side took me about an hour and a half. That side took me about half an hour. Goes to show you when you know what you're doing, goes a lot quicker. But look at this thing. What's up, guys? Welcome back to our Durango build. Man, our Durango is quite dusty. It's been sitting a little bit. Now this episode we're going to get into welding up the truss on our replacement axle, and we're going to start removing some stuff under the back of the Durango here. Now we got to kind of be tactical about this because I don't want to leave the Humvee sitting out super long, especially, I don't know, we have this fall weather where we get pop-up storms every once in a while. So we're basically going to be working on the Durango on weekends, and then basically trying to have the Durango able to drive out of here each weekend. Which means, sadly, I'm not going to be able to get the old axle out from under here because we do need this to be able to drive. Now, I can also go ahead and remove drive shaft on the back end because we do have four-wheel drive, so I can make it front-wheel drive to drive out of here. Also looking at taking that fuel tank out of there. We'll probably end up running some fuel cell or something. Our 4-link is just going to get in the way of that fuel tank. But I have an external fuel pump coming, and of course it's running late because everything I've ordered lately has not gotten here on time. That means I can't even take that out this weekend. So we're probably going to look at just doing our shocks, leaving the springs in. So it's, I mean, have you ever seen what a car looks like with bad shocks or no shocks at all? Yep, quite bouncy. But we can remove that. We can remove the sway bar. We can disconnect any electrical. We can take the drive shaft out. We're gonna have to leave the fuel tank. What else can we do? I don't know, but that's gonna be quite a bit. Now, I've already completed welding up the truss because that took a whole week in itself. It's not a whole lot of attention that's required. It's just you have to do it over a long period of time just so you don't heat soak things and you don't want welds to crack. But we'll get into that. So we'll probably end up showing that first, and we'll hop under here and start disconnecting stuff. Well, we went ahead and set our truss on here. Obviously, this is from Barnes 4-wheel drive. Now, as you can see, this fits up really nice. This type of gap up here, that's actually pretty good there. This one's a little bit bigger, but I don't think I'm going to really weld that. I may put a tack here. I don't even know. But basically, I'm going to try to weld some of this up here on the other side. This down here, just a little bit. And then mostly going to weld up to the tubing. Now, the tubing is steel, that is steel, and the housing is cast iron. I have never welded to cast iron, but I do know it is a pain in the... So, we're going to give it a shot, though. Basically, the plan is, though, to weld up really good to the tubing. And then, well, actually, we're going to first tack and do small welds on the cast iron. That way, if any tweaking, it'll kind of let things tweak a little bit. I don't want to hold it completely down because things cool differently between cast iron and steel. And I feel like if I go ahead and tack down the legs here, that if there is any pulling or something, it's not going to let it, and it's just going to crack that weld. Don't really know if that's true or not, but that's just my thinking on it. This is going to be interesting, guys. I've never done suspension work before or anything, but we are hopping right into it. As you can see on this other side, there was a little couple little plug-like things on each side, probably from casting marks. I went ahead and sanded those down a little bit more, that way that this fits down on there a little bit better. All right, we got most everything cleaned up here. Went ahead and took the back cover off there, checked the gears on it. Everything looks pretty good on there, so I don't think we'll have to switch out the gears. And I'm going to leave this stock for now, not worry about putting in a locker yet. Once I get kind of everything welded up and I know everything functions fine, I might look at putting in a locker in the back as well. So went ahead and painted this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the truss back up here. We'll mark where we need to clean the paint off for the weld. And yes, we're going to TIG weld this on. Yes, I know a lot of people do MIG or stick welding on this. I do have our secret weapon on this, so this is a Ni99. So this is actually even higher nickel content than an N50, so it should allow it to stretch a little bit more. And since it's the first time I'm doing this, I'm trying to cheat as much as I can so I don't break all my welds and everything. We are also going to post heat all our welds. We may preheat some as well. Actually, we probably will, because today is a little bit cooler than our normal, almost 100 degrees that we were having. All right, I got the truss just tacked in place, a couple of tacks on the tubing on each side, a couple of tacks on each side of that truss there. I want to kind of test the cooling on that and see if any of those tacks crack before I kind of get into welding up little, basically inch-long pieces. Again, wrap it up and let it cool, and then just continue the process. So like I said, this may end up taking me a few days to actually finish this, and I don't have a problem with that. I'd rather take my time with it than try to rush through it and have any warping or have things cool differently and crack those welds on the housing. All right, so I came back out. I did have 2 of the 6 tacks on the housing actually cracked through. But the other 4 were okay, and for like minimum heating, preheating and post heating, I'm not too upset with that. And then this time I actually preheated it, post heated it, and now we have it like really wrapped. Before I just kind of had the blanket laying over it and stuff. So these are about an inch type of welds, maybe an inch and a quarter type of a weld. So it is a little bit beefier of a weld. So I'm hoping this all cools slowly and everything works all right. So we let those 6 about 1-inch welds sit for a while now, all wrapped up. Everything is pretty much cooled down. I think our warmest section here is maybe like 90 degrees or something. Everything has cooled down pretty good. So I wanted to take a look at these, see if we have any cracking through these welds or how they're doing. All right. So don't go off of how pretty these welds are, because I'm trying to fill them in, and I'm also trying to add extra in order to keep that from cracking. This one up here looks pretty good. No cracking. No cracking over here. So that's on the front of our housing. Not seeing any cracking there. No cracking on that one. As you can see, I already put an X because it looks like there possibly could be a crack in this one. If I could actually hold the camera still as I'm kneeling down here. Looks like there possibly could be a crack at the top of that kind of 2-piece weld there. So we'll probably go back over that one just in case. And of course, our little tack here is still doing just fine. So I don't know if I showed this or not. So actually went ahead and cut out a portion of that truss there for our vent line. And actually made sure that whenever I did this, I actually put the 15mm socket on there and then tacked everything in place so I can get a 15mm socket in here and tighten down that vent line if I need to. Also during this week, I need to get me some more gas because we are running super low. All right, well, it's been a few days now welding up different sections here. As you can tell, kind of taking our time welding little 1-inch sections or something at a time here. Like this piece here, that's 2 welds. Wanted to see how it would do running one weld into the other. But this rod, this is that nickel 99. This stuff's doing really well. And I can't say that I am the best at welding. And I can't say that I am the best at welding on cast iron or anything, but this stuff seems to be doing pretty amazingly. So I don't think anybody else is really looking at TIG welding their truss on like I am because of time and everything, but if you were, actually I would recommend this stuff. I do need to get a little bit more of them. I'm running low, and I still have, of course, our front axle to put a truss on. I'm gonna get set up here, start preheating, and try to get all our welds knocked out on here, wrap it up, and let it cool down like we have been. All right, we got the whole axle all welded up now. Now this is basically all done. I am gonna clean it up and spray it down with a coat of black. And a lot of our kit here is actually gonna be from Barnes. They have some pretty good deals, and you can't beat free shipping on a lot of this stuff. Again, not sponsored by them. I've paid for all this stuff, but so far their stuff seems pretty good. I mean, here, this is the upper control arm. Yeah, no, yes, no. This is basically the bracket that'll go right on the frame and weld in place. This is a 2-piece, and it is already at 20 degrees here, so the frame will be here and the mount is 20 degrees off. I already kind of put together our heim joints here. These are 1.25" heim joints. I did go ahead and bolt this up. So this is 2-piece here. This inside plate is not attached right now. Went ahead and ran a bolt through. I put a little, one of those really thin washers here. So what I'm gonna do is basically tighten this down really tight, and I'm gonna go ahead and tack this in place. Then I'll go ahead and remove everything, make sure this slides in and out just fine, and then I'll go ahead and weld up this tab on here and get the other one ready as well. We'll also go ahead and weld these up too. But so far their stuff is really good. I mean, it's real thick. Seems like it's gonna work all really, really well. All right, we went ahead and prepped, kind of welded up a little bit of our mounts here. Those are our 20 degree off of our frame. Those will go on the inside of the frame. Those are for our upper arms. These are for the lowers. Those are upside down. They'll be flipped over and underneath the frame. These go to the bottom of our axle tubes, and then these will go up top. Well, that's about that. Those are pretty much ready to go. We have heim joints for all of these. I already kind of set up our heim joints just with stuff in place and everything, and our tubing was supposed to be in yesterday, and of course it's delayed, just like every package I get. That wasn't Barnes' fault, that's the carrier's fault. So our axle here is pretty much prepped and ready to go too. Yes, I didn't care about getting the whole thing all smooth and pretty. This isn't supposed to be a show truck. This is supposed to be wheeled, so I'd rather not spend my time with all that. Just spend it on actually building the thing and then off-roading it. All right, so obviously we have our bumper off. We have our hitch and everything that was below the bumper. That's all off. We went ahead and disconnected our sway bar that goes up on the frame up here. We have our license plate light harness and stuff kind of over to the side. That'd be for our license plate light, and then also our trailer connection. So we gotta leave our leaf springs in because they are what's going to hold our axle up under here right now. I don't think that our bump stops there are going to remain the same. We'll probably go with some like tubular bump stops, some air or something, and actually attach it on the outside of the frame. May go ahead and remove our rear drive shaft and just shift it into 4-wheel drive and use our front wheels to drive this thing back over to park it in the meantime while we're waiting for the other parts and everything to get here. Then also for next weekend to get here, so we can basically strip all of this stuff out, roll that thing up under here, and then just mock up our 4 links and everything. So we'll be welding up on the frame, taking a flapper disc, cleaning that all off. I don't like working under cars unless they're on lifts, and I don't have a lift right now, so I am not going to be super comfortable up under here working, but we'll get it done. Anyways, I hope y'all liked the video. Don't forget to do all that YouTube stuff if you feel like it. If you don't, I understand. Y'all have a good one. Peace.